stock car racing got its start during the days of Prohibition, when the 18th Amendment banned the possession and distribution of alcohol. Now, before long, crafty Americans were making moonshine in their basements and hauling it around in their daily drivers. Now, they needed their cars to look like all the other vehicles on the road, but they wanted to have an edge over the police, so they started making slight modifications to their cars so that they could outrun the cops. Stock car racing was born. Today, I'm heading up to San Francisco to give a shot at stock car racing myself. And instead of hauling moonshine, I'm bringing along some mountain bikers.
Here we go.
So I brought you guys a bike mount, but I have no idea how you're gonna get that on the GT-R. So let's give it a shot and see what we can do. Here we go. All right, road tripping.
Party on.
San Fran. The mountain bikers are from one of our sister publications, Bike Magazine. When I heard they were heading up to San Francisco to hit some trails this week, I offered to give them a ride. So, after loading up with a full tank of gas and plenty of snacks, we left Los Angeles and made our way up the coast. I am positive that no one has ever before strapped two mountain bikes to the top of a GT-R.
Thanks for the drive.
You're welcome.
Have fun in Sonoma.
Thank you, I will. After driving more than 400 miles in a car I adore, but which undeniably belongs on a track and not in mind-numbing traffic, I was relieved to finally arrive at Sonoma Raceway, one of the country's busiest racing facilities. Formerly known as Infineon Raceway, the 12-turn road course hosts a variety of motorsports events, from the NASCAR Sprint Cup to the American Le Mans Series to superbike races, and the track is hot 340 days a year. Tyler McQuarrie has been racing since he was 14 years old. From competing in the NASCAR West Series to Formula Drift to endurance tests, Tyler has won championships, broken records, and has since become one of the best multi-purpose drivers in the country.
All right, Jessi, this is gonna be your office for the day. I'm sure you're not gonna complain, but as you can see, it's a stock car based off of a NASCAR Southwest Tour car. V8 crate motor, so it's about 400 horsepower, which is pretty good, but when you consider the weight at only 2,600 pounds, it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
And to get all that power down, we're using the Goodyear slicks, very similar to what you're seeing on the Cup Series cars, the K&N West cars. Diving into the car a little bit more, you can see it's pretty clean. Traditionally speaking, stock cars are very basic inside. The technology they have is minimal. So it's just running an MSD ignition, and you can see the gauges up here. The one you're gonna be looking at is a tach. And we're gonna be shifting around 6,000 RPM. The other ones you're gonna focus on are the water gauge. Just keep an eye on that, and then oil pressure is the other one we're gonna look at. But we do have to deal with the 4-speed Jericho dog box. That's gonna be something just getting in here that's gonna feel a little awkward, because we also want you to left foot brake. That's gonna take a bit of concentration, and then dealing with shifting without the clutch. So we're gonna spend some time focusing on that and getting that technique down, because the better you can do with that, the more you can focus on the line and just going quick.
Okay. Am I gonna fit?
And I don't know, we might need to get some phone books and some pillows and more pillows.
Wouldn't be the first time. Let's give it a go.
And slide on down. First thing we wanna check is this, make sure you can reach the pedals.
Okay.
Yeah, we need more pads.
Although it's not uncommon for me to have trouble properly fitting into race cars, it is always frustrating, and it often compromises my on-track time. Suffice it to say, I need my clutch fully depressed to make my shifts.
The clutch is just to take off. In this car, you have to left foot brake.
Okay.
So when you're downshifting, you don't have the ability to go over to the clutch anyway.
Okay. How am I shifting without my clutch?
That's what we're gonna go over in the brake and downshift, is where that blip, it's just gonna go right into gear.
Driving a race car is hard enough, but having to strain to reach the pedals, you have no idea how much that truly sucks. But after adding a disconcerting and laughable amount of padding to my seat, I hopped in Tyler's car to get familiar with the track. So Sonoma is such a historic track. Tell me about how these programs originated.
It's actually formerly known as the Jim Russell Racing Driver School, and obviously Jim Russell started it back in the 50s over in England, and he just built it up into this company that had locations all around the world, and we ended up coming here in the mid-90s. And we've got a lot of high-profile NASCAR guys coming out to learn for stock cars. And the NASCAR drivers now are really good at getting a big heavy stock car like this around a track like Sonoma Raceway. Our Formula 3 cars That's the foundation of our school, but a lot of the stuff that we teach in the Formula car applies to even a stock car like this. And I think also just given the history of this track and NASCAR around here, to be able to get fans to really experience what it's like to take a 3,000-pound stock car and hustle it around a track like Sonoma is so awesome. So we're all super excited to get people like you to come experience that. And I think you'll watch a NASCAR race in a totally different light after experiencing what you get to do today.
I have no doubt.
All right, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do it.
So probably the biggest thing for you to get used to is this 4-speed dog box.
Okay.
It's going to feel really rough. Your wheel speed is constant. And then when you go to downshift, you need to blip the throttle,
right,
so you match the gears and the wheel speed at the same time. The biggest thing too is that you have to left foot brake this car.
Okay.
Up through the gears, I'm full throttle.
Yeah.
You put some pressure on the shifter, lift and shift. Lift off the throttle and just pull back to the next gear.
Okay.
Never touch the clutch.
Okay.
But you can hear how rough it is.
Yeah.
And that's those dog rings coming together.
Okay.
Okay, so to shift it, you got to make sure that you're coming all the way off. If you don't come all the way off the throttle, it's not going to release those gears. And then when I go to downshift it from 4th gear, I blip the throttle at the same time. You try to imagine your left foot and your shifter are working the same.
Okay.
Okay. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so let's run us down.
Okay.
Have you jump in your car and we'll get going.
All right.
All right?
Let's do it. Hey, it's hot as hell in here.
I know. Yeah, now try being in here for 3 hours.
As soon as I hit the track, I was wishing I'd had the cool suit I wore at Daytona. It was so hot, it was hard to breathe, and I'd only been in the car for a few minutes.
So ignition up, starter button, give it some gas.
All right, here we go.
So push that clutch in. There you go.
All right. About the downshift.
Turn around, turn around.
Okay. So was I supposed to start downshifting there?
Yeah. So step 1, we got going. You got up through the gears. That was awesome.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Woo!
first
Getting
turtle.
somewhere.
So now what we wanted to do is try and get on the brakes and get those downshifts.
Okay.
It's loud and clunky, but it goes right in.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That was awesome.
Okay. All right.
We lived.
Yes, we did.
So going up through the gears again, you're doing a great job. What's happening on the downshift, you're thinking about every step
Yeah.
and doing every step, but out of sequence.
Okay.
Right? So what was happening, you're on the brakes, and then you were shifting, then blipping. But when you were blipping the throttle, it was in gear, so that's why we were speeding up.
Okay.
You should never have that sensation of speeding up,
Okay.
especially as a passenger.
Okay. Okay.
Every time you move this shifter, when you're downshifting, that's the only time that blip happens.
Right.
If you already moved this and forgot about the blip, forget about it.
Okay.
You're trying to brake at that point. We're
Okay.
trying to slow the car down.
Okay.
And what's happening, you're getting on the gas and the brake at the same time. Easy mistake.
Okay.
So you need to do all the steps that you're doing, but condensed into one step.
Okay.
You want to try it one more time?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. so frustrating not be able to reach my clutch.
You were
I'm just
doing
gonna
great.
stall
It's
like every.
I think you're kind of hitting the gate of the shifter basically.
Okay.
So when you're coming, you're up into third and you're getting ready to downshift to second. It's just a real slight pull to the left.
Okay.
I could see you like pulling it towards you.
Okay.
Other than that little thing, you had a couple downshifts that were really good.
Okay.
Our next step is to do a lead follow. You're just gonna follow everywhere I go. Try to imagine I'm driving through fresh snow and you're going right in my tracks. When you see the brake lights come on, that's where I want you to brake. Don't brake when you see them, brake where you see them. Gearing wise, turn 11, like to see it down to first. The apex is pretty late. You're probably gonna wanna go a little deeper, but you gotta remember this is a pretty heavy stock car. So we wanna be on the brakes. You should be fourth, maybe third gear. Blipping downshift to second. Nice late apex. Radius equals speed, so we're gonna let that car come all the way out to the wall. And remember, this car too has 400 horsepower. I'm sure you've heard of string theory. As you decrease the steering percentage, you can increase the throttle percentage. If you're holding the steering percentage constant, especially in this car, and you try and increase the throttle percentage without decreasing this, that's where the back end's gonna start to step out. So first gear, grab second. Third will carry you all the way up through turn 1. You'll see me down tight to the pit wall, and you're gonna follow me. And then our braking zone is gonna be right here. You gotta make sure the car is straight. That's when you're gonna downshift to second. And we're gonna carry second all the way through this whole upper loop. So you'll see me get down to the apex here. We're carrying second through this whole section. A little brake pressure is going to be used here. You got to decrease that brake as you increase the steering. Very blind corner up here, 3A. Really use me as a reference marker. And we're going to carry second down to 4. Real big exit curb. You're going to use that. We're going to get full throttle in second. You're going to grab third and then back down to second for the bottleneck. And then we're melting off the brakes, coming down to our apex here. Upshifting to third and then grabbing fourth down through these S's. Very fast section, very important to be very precise. So really watch my line. You're gonna see me let the car come all the way out, and then you're gonna hold the car tight along this edge. Turn 10, absolutely the fastest corner on the track, 4th gear. And that brings us down to turn 11. I think that's about it.
All right.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
All right.
That was so awesome.
I thought you did so good.
Yeah,
that
thank
was
you.
Awesome. You know, considering how it started this morning, and the first time for you to drive a stock car, first time with a dog box transmission, left foot braking.
It was so interesting learning how to basically shift without using my clutch. You know, I'm using the brake and the gas instead, and it took a minute to get into that groove. But then once you find it, then it feels just as natural as, you know, the regular everyday manual driving.
You were flying at the end. It was awesome.
Yes, thank you. Well, the lead follow, man, I needed your line. If it hadn't been for that, I would have been all over the place. I learned so much just from being behind you.
No, exactly, and that's how we do all of our programs, and it's amazing what repetition does, and just being able to follow someone like that, it gets you up to speed so much faster, and you did awesome throughout the whole way.
Awesome, thank you. You were an awesome teacher.
Thanks.
One question, when can I come back to do the F3?
Anytime you want.
Awesome.
Anytime you want. We'll warm them up.
Cool, thanks so much,
Awesome.
man. I had a great day.
Yeah, awesome.